National Industrial Recovery Act of 1933, an act to encourage national industrial recovery, to foster fair competition, and to provide for the construction of certain useful public works, and for other purposes. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. Title I Industrial Recovery, Declaration of Policy, Section 1. A national emergency productive of widespread unemployment and disorganization of industry, which burdens interstate and foreign commerce, affects the public welfare, and undermines the standards of living of the American people, is hereby declared to exist. It is hereby declared to be the policy of Congress to remove obstructions to the free flow of interstate and foreign commerce which tend to diminish the amount thereof, and to provide for the general welfare by promoting the organization of industry for the purpose of cooperative action among trade groups, to induce and maintain united action of labor and management under adequate governmental sanctions and supervision, to eliminate unfair competitive practices, to promote the fullest possible utilization of the present productive capacity of industries, to avoid undue restriction of production, except as may be temporarily required, to increase the consumption of industrial and agricultural products by increasing purchasing power, to reduce and relieve unemployment, to improve standards of labor, and otherwise to rehabilitate industry, and to conserve natural resources. Administrative agencies, Section 2. A. To effectuate the policy of this title, the President is hereby authorized to establish such agencies, to accept and utilize such voluntary and uncompensated services, to appoint without regard to the provisions of the civil service laws, such officers and employees, and to utilize such federal officers and employees, and, with the consent of the state, such state and local officers and employees, as he may find necessary, to prescribe their authorities, duties, responsibilities, and tenure, and, without regard to the Classification Act of 1923, as amended, to fix the compensation of any officers and employees so appointed. B. The President may delegate any of his functions and powers under this title to such officers, agents, and employees as he may designate or appoint, and may establish an industrial planning and research agency to aid in carrying out his functions under this title. C. This title shall cease to be in effect, and any agencies established hereunder shall cease to exist at the expiration of 2 years after the date of enactment of this act, or sooner if the President shall by proclamation, or the Congress shall by joint resolution declare that the emergency recognized by Section 1 has ended. Codes of Fair Competition, Section .3. A. Upon the application to the President by one or more trade or industrial associations or groups, the President may approve a code or codes of fair competition for the trade or industry or subdivision thereof, represented by the applicant or applicants, if the President finds 1. That such associations or groups impose no inequitable restrictions on admission to membership therein, and are truly representative of such trades or industries or subdivisions thereof, and 2. That such code or codes are not designed to promote monopolies, or to eliminate or repress small enterprises, and will not operate to discriminate against them, and will tend to effectuate the policy of this title, provided that such code or code shall not permit monopolies or monopolistic practices, provided further that, where such code or codes affect the services and welfare of persons engaged in other steps of the economic process, nothing in this section shall deprive such persons of the right to be heard prior to approval by the President of such code or codes. The President may, as a condition of his approval of any such code, impose such conditions, including requirements for the making of reports and the keeping of accounts, for the protection of consumers, competitors, employees, and others, and in furtherance of the public interest, and may provide such exceptions to and exemptions from the provisions of such code as the President, in his discretion, deems necessary to effectuate the policy herein declared. B. After the President shall have approved any such code, the provisions of such code shall be the standards of fair competition for such trade or industry or subdivision thereof. Any violation of such standards in any transaction in or affecting interstate or foreign commerce shall be deemed an unfair method of competition in commerce within the meaning of the Federal Trade Commission Act, as amended, but nothing in this title shall be construed to impair the powers of the Federal Trade Commission, under such act, as amended. C. The several district courts of the United States are hereby invested with jurisdiction to prevent and restrain violations of any code of fair competition approved under this title, and it shall be the duty of the several district attorneys of the United States, in their respective districts, under the direction of the Attorney General, to institute proceedings in equity to prevent and restrain such violations. D. Upon his own motion, or if complaint is made to the President that abuse is inimical to the public interest and contrary to the policy herein declared are prevalent in any trade or industry or subdivision thereof, and if no code of fair competition therefore has theretofore been approved by the President, after such public notice and hearing as he shall specify, may prescribe and approve a code of fair competition for such trade or industry or subdivision thereof, which shall have the same effect as a code of fair competition approved by the President under subsection A of this section. E. On his own motion, or if any labor organization, or any trade or industrial organization, association, or group which has complied with the provisions of this title, shall make complaint to the President that any article or articles are being imported into the United States in substantial quantities or increasing ratio to domestic production of any competitive article or articles, and on such terms or under such conditions as to render ineffective or seriously to endanger the maintenance of any code or agreement under this title. The President may cause an immediate investigation to be made by the United States Tariff Commission, which shall give precedence to investigations under the subsection, and if, after such investigation, and such public notice and hearing, as he shall specify, the President shall find the existence of such facts, he shall, in order to effectuate the policy of this title, direct that the article or articles concerned shall be permitted entry into the United States only upon such terms and conditions and subject to the payment of such fees, and to such limitations in the total quantity which may be imported in the course of any specified period or periods, as he shall find it necessary to prescribe an order that the entry thereof shall not render or tend to render ineffective any code or agreement made under this title. In order to enforce any limitations imposed on the total quantity of imports in any specified period or periods of any article or articles under the subsection, the President may forbid the importation of such article or articles unless the importer shall have first obtained from the Secretary of the Treasury a license pursuant to such regulations as the President may prescribe. Upon information of any action by the President under the subsection, the Secretary of the Treasury shall, through the proper officers, permit entry of the article or articles specified only upon such terms and conditions and subject to such fees, to such limitations in the quantity which may be imported, and to such requirements of license as the President shall have directed. The decision of the President as to facts shall be conclusive. Any condition or limitation of entry under the subsection shall continue in effect until the President shall find and inform the Secretary of the Treasury that the conditions which led to the imposition of such condition or limitation upon entry no longer exists. F. When a code of fair competition has been approved or prescribed by the President under this title, any violation of any provision thereof in any transaction in or affecting interstate or foreign commerce shall be a misdemeanor, and upon conviction thereof an offender shall be fined not more than $500 for each offense, and each day such violation continues shall be deemed a separate offense. Agreements and licenses. Section 4. A. The President is authorized to enter into agreement with and to approve voluntary agreements between and among persons engaged in a trade or industry, labor organizations, and trade or industrial organizations, associations, or groups relating to any trade or industry, if in his judgment such agreements will aid in effectuating the policy of this title with respect to transactions in or affecting interstate or foreign commerce, and will be consistent with the requirements of Clause 2 of subsection A of Section 34A Code of Fair Competition.